Hey guys, it's Manda Panda, and today I am hanging out with Miss Cheerly. We are going to be transforming her into GEKKO from PJ Masks. I'm so excited about this custom because it is going to give my owlet pony someone to play with. I'm starting off by prepping the pony for customization. I have removed the head by twisting it firmly to the side until that neck plug popped out, and then I pulled out the bottom of the neck plug using my pliers. Now that doesn't always happen, so if your neck plug doesn't come out when you pull on it with your pliers, then you're gonna need to very carefully cut it out with an X-Acto knife, and that exposes all of the hair roots inside of the head. I'm taking my large scissors, cutting off the bulk of Miss Cheerly's original mane, and then I used my tiny scissors to cut that hair all the way down to the scalp. And that step is super important because the shorter the hair is, the easier it is to pull the roots out from the inside. The head is all ready to be customized. Real quickly on the body, I'm just gonna reattach that neck plug using my pliers so I don't accidentally lose it and spend too much time looking for it later. Taking my scissors again and cutting off the bulk of the tail, and I'm just going to push whatever part of that tail is still exposed right into that pony's body. So this pony is ready to be customized. Let's get started on the GEKKO transformation. So here's GEKKO, really cool in his little gecko suit, but if you notice, he doesn't have any ears. So I guess his ears are kind of hiding under his mask. Now, I have never made a pony with no ears before, so I'm kind of nervous about this. With my X-Acto knife, I'm very carefully removing the pony's original ears. And X-Acto knives are super sharp, and it's really easy to cut yourself with one. So little pandas, make sure that you get a parent's help if you try to make this custom. I'm gonna be using a Sugru to smooth out the pony's head, cover up where the ears were chopped off and where we pulled out that hair. Now Sugru doesn't come in green, so I made my own green by mixing blue and yellow. I'm gonna cover GEKKO's entire head with a thin layer of Sugru, just using my fingers to smooth it out. It doesn't need to be perfectly smooth because I'm gonna be trying a new technique to give the head that scaly texture of GEKKO's suit. So the Sugru is all smoothed out and it is still wet. I have a little piece of fabric that has the texture of like a gecko on it, and I'm gonna see if I can very firmly press this textured piece of fabric onto the Sugru and get that texture on the pony's head. So I'm just gonna press this down really firmly. Let's see, did it work? Oh, it did. That looks pretty cool. It is like scaly and bumpy. That is an awesome texture. I love it. The Sugru has completely dried, and I just used a fine Sharpie marker to outline the rough draft of where I'm gonna put GEKKO's eyes, and then I'm using my X-Acto knife again to cut out the eye area, and then I'm gonna scrape out the excess Sugru. I'm also gonna do the same thing for GEKKO's mouth area. Maybe it's just me, but I think that GEKKO's head right now is looking a little bit like a green avocado. It has that texture and color. That green isn't the exact color green that I was going for. It is more like the green of the Hulk, not the green of GEKKO. So once I get all of this excess Sugru cut out, I'm actually gonna cover the entire pony with a layer of green acrylic paint. That is a brighter, more vibrant shade, just like GEKKO. I'm gonna let this paint completely dry and then get started on the eyes and the mouth area using some acrylic paint. This is the color Flesh Tone. I'm just going to paint in his mouth. Now this is gonna need 3 coats of acrylic paint, but I'm gonna let the first one dry before I put on all the others. For the eyes, I'm gonna start off with 3 layers of white acrylic paint. Again, putting down the first layer, letting it completely dry, and then putting on the other 2. The white paint is completely dried. Let's put in GEKKO's actual eye. I'm using the same green color I used for his mask, and I'm giving him his round eye. And then I'm gonna take a little bit brighter shade of green and just put a little bit of accent color in the corner to give the eye some depth, and go in with a little bit of black for the pupil and a little bit of white for a light reflection in the corner of his eye using my nail dotting tool. The eyes are all in, and so is the mouth. I'm going to completely cover the head with a thick coat of this sealant, and then once it has completely dried, we can put on GEKKO scales on the top of his head. I'm using some Sugru here, just regular old white Sugru for this part, and I'm going to shape out his 3 scales at the top of his head. And I love using Sugru for this because it doesn't shrink at all, but the biggest thing is that Sugru is actually an air dry rubber glue, so it dries onto the pony's head. It's not gonna fall off. I don't have to glue it on later, and it just saves me a lot of time. I also gave him some little eyebrows. The Sugru has completely dried. You can see that it is now really hard, and I'm gonna go in and paint it using this really awesome bright green nail polish from Color Club called The Line Stops Here, and it's actually the green that I have on my hands. I'm gonna put 2 coats of this on the little spikes at the top of his head and on his eyebrows. That's it for the head. I'm gonna put it to the side, let it dry. Let's get started on the body. So GEKKO's body is gonna have the exact same technique as GEKKO's head. I'm gonna cover the entire pony with a thin layer of Sugru. I'm gonna try and get this as thin as I possibly can. Gonna use my nail dotting tool to pop in his tail hole real quick before the Sugru dries, and then grab that little textured piece of fabric I used earlier and put texture all over his body to make it look all scaly, just like a real life GEKKO. Now, if you don't want to go through all of these steps, you don't have to. You could just paint your entire pony green and it would still look super awesome. Again, that Hulk green color is just not what I want for GEKKO, so I'm going over it with a few layers of that green acrylic paint. Using a little bit of white Sugru, I'm gonna put in GEKKO's knee pads and elbow pads. I'm just going to press those right onto the knee area and flatten them out a little bit with my finger. If you don't have Sugru or you don't like using Sugru, you could always use your favorite brand of air dry clay for all of these details. While the Sugru is still wet, I'm gonna just take this little tool here and press in 2 lines on his knee pads to give it that really cool texture. And then I'm going to repeat this process for his elbows. That Sugru has completely dried, looks really cool. Let's get started on his logo. So GEKKO has the logo right on his chest, just like Owlette and Catboy. I actually printed out this little teeny tiny logo from the internet on regular printer paper. I'm just going to cut it out as closely to the lines as I possibly can, and I'm actually going to attach that piece of paper directly to the pony's chest. I'm laying down a layer of clear nail polish, and that is what's going to attach that logo to the chest. Once the polish dries, that logo will be secured right on the front, and that is the perfect size for the pony. That looks so awesome. Now the color is wrong, but the shape is right. So I'm actually gonna cover up all of that dark green with the same bright green that I used for his eyebrows. And then I'm gonna use the green I used for the body to cover all of that white and make the logo blend into the pony's chest. It's just gonna look so awesome. I'm switching over to a dark forest green for the knee pads and the elbow pads, but if you want your pony to have super gecko powers, you could always paint the elbow pads a really bright shade of green so they look like they're glowing just like on the cartoon. I'm also going to give Gekko a thin line at the bottom of the back legs for his shoes. I'm going to let all of this paint completely dry and then give it a layer of top coat. And then all I gotta do is reattach the head. Let's take a look at the completed custom. Here is GEKKO from PJ Masks. Look at his head. It came out so awesome. I thought it was gonna look maybe a little weird or creepy without ears, but it looks really, really cool. Off camera, I gave him a tail. If you want to learn how to put a tail in your custom pony, check out my custom owlette pony because I have step-by-step directions in that video. I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial. If you have an idea for my next custom, let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, little pandas. Until next time, bye! You can follow me online to get the latest news and updates, like my Facebook page, facebook.com/MandaPandaToyCollector, or follow me on Instagram at MandaPandaToyCollector. Want to mail me something? Guess what? You can. Mail it to Manda Panda, P.O. Box 2855, Humble, Texas 77347.